100 to 1. What are you going to spend the winnings on if he won?
I'll probably put it all on some Paul Nolan horse on the 27th or something and lose
it all. Hello and welcome along to the Let's Talk Racing YouTube channel for our Christmas racing special. It's going to be cracking. We're going to reflect on last weekend's action and then look ahead to just, I don't even know, how do you put it into words, Andrew?
Actually, it's just phenomenal stuff. I'm keeping the fingers crossed that I'll be up in Leopardstown all 4 days. You look at the entries, it's just star upon star upon star, even in the maiden hurdles, in the beginners chases, alongside the grade ones. So I don't even know what to do. There's so many good horses, we can't get through them all in this video, but we'll try our best to get through plenty. Yeah,
we are going to have to fire through the racing. If not, this could be a 3-hour epic, but we are going to try and condense it into 30 minutes because we know that you do have lives to live. But if you do enjoy it, please hit that like button and let us know your thoughts as well. Get down in the comments below. And as it's Christmas, we both thought, why not do a spectacular Christmas giveaway? Unfortunately, the budget didn't stretch very far this year. All you've got to do is comment, "Let's Talk Racing Christmas," and you're entered in the competition. I'll contact one of you in the next video. The 3 items, and you watch out for these, they are seriously good. We've got a JP McManus coaster. Yeah, I'm telling you, JP McManus coaster. We've got an Ollie Murphy racing beanie. Picked up at Ollie Murphy's yard last week. Lovely. And then the golden present, the one that you want to win, and this, I suppose the other 2 presents could fit in this, a Gallopin de Champs Christmas stocking. I think this is standout stuff.
That will look very good this time next year if he's favoured for the Gold Cup, and you've got that on the mantelpiece.
So Andrew knows how to sell. He's far better at that than me. You don't see the finishing line doing giveaways like this, do you? This is top stuff. Enter down in the comments, Let's Talk Racing Christmas, for your chance to win, and have a Merry Christmas as well. Quickly then, reflecting on last weekend's racing, I had 2 best bets run. One was Up for Parole, who I put up at 14 to 1. He was backed into 5 to 2 and won. I was very happy with that one. And then Phoenix Way, also put up, I think, at 14 to 1. Was cruising, looked the winner, couldn't get the job done. I was gutted. You were having a laugh yesterday. Why were you having a laugh?
Just because he was coming there so easy, and I'm there going, Jesus, Josh is going to put in another 14 to 1. And he comes to jump 2 out. He jumps 2 out, lovely, gets upside, and then he sticks his head straight up in the air and goes, "Not today, my friend, not today." And couldn't get past Anslam. So, look, he's the type of horse, he'll win a big handicap at some stage, maybe over 2-5. I don't know whether did he not quite get home, or does he have a few little tendencies about the game, I'm not sure. But it was a good bet at 14s, that's for sure.
Not so good. What was good is in the long walk hurdle, Champ got the job done. He's now 9 to 2 for the Stayers hurdle in March. Makes my 20 to 1 anti-post slip look very, very pretty. Time Hill was second, he ran well. Andrew, what did you think of that run?
Yeah, serious run and a good race. Time Hill's the right horse you want to come with you. Paisley Park seemingly back to his best as well, back in 3rd, which was good to see, or back near his best anyway. You'd love the way Champ's travelled through the race, to be honest, and he's taken it up coming in, which is probably a little bit earlier than ideally you would have wanted to have seen it, but at the same stage he's then rallied again when Time Hill's come to him. So really impressive. He's just, you know, if you're trying to back him at 9 to 2, is he the most trustworthy horse in the world? No, he's not. He could win the Stayers hurdle. He could also be pulled up in a Stayers hurdle. He has to stay hurdling, though. He just doesn't seem to have the bottle for chasing, really. I can't see them going back down that route. It would have to be catastrophic circumstances, maybe with Chantry House, for that to happen, but I don't see it, to be honest. I think Champ will be going hurdling, probably onto the Cleve and then the Stayers, and he'd have to have a good chance in it. I
said this on the audio podcast, go and listen if you haven't already, but I would be 95 to 5 that he stays over hurdles. I see no reason why they wouldn't. He was very, very impressive. He travelled so well, he jumped well, and he beat the best 3-mile hurdler that we have over here anyway. Whether Florian Porter can add to his reputation this weekend, or there's Classical Dream in there as well. I'm sure we'll find out, but yeah, very, very impressive. And even if he's 4-1, 9-2, if I know he's going to run in the Stayers Hurdle, I'd back him at that price again. I just think that he's in a league of his own in that sphere, and if he stayed hurdling over the last couple of years, he could be a dual Stayers Hurdle winner at this time. But we also should talk about Jonbon then, who won the Kennelgate on Friday. Looked very impressive doing so. They tried to light him up again. They went a crawl at the start of the race. He got to the front, he settled, he jumped, he pinged away, and then turned on the taps down the back, and he wasn't to be caught. Were you impressed?
Yeah, have to be impressed with Jonbon. Look, he's a horse I like an awful lot. I think the way he goes about it fills you with kind of excitement. You know, he looks like a proper 2-miler. He seems to have heaps of pace. He jumps so well. He seems to really be enthusiastic about racing as well, without kind of pulling himself away. He's been very professional. And look, he's the rightful favourite for the Supreme. Constitution Hill will come out. I saw a quote from Nicky Henderson saying that the Tolworth might be on the agenda next for him. That's not a race I would want him to go for if I was Constitution Hill fan. Tolworth has an absolutely stinking record in recent years at Cheltenham, so that's something to just bear in mind. It's a little bit like In This World in the Adonis. It just screams red flags to me, but he's a very good horse as well. And at the moment, obviously, we'll know more from Christmas time in regards to the Irish novices, but at the moment, those two have to be well clear.
Would put me off that Constitution Hill is going to the Tolworth Hurdle. Look, that's a Grade 1 only in name. Probably the worst Grade 1 in the racing calendar as far as quality is concerned through the years. Constitution Hill, Jonbon, at this stage, I think I prefer Jonbon. I think that he's going to suit a fast pace. He's a 3-mile winner and a point-to-point, so you know that he's going to stay. He jumps so well. Constitution Hill looked very, very good, and I'd like to see more of him, but at the moment Jonbon seems to have the full package, and I think the harder they go, the more it'll suit him. Sir Gerhard this weekend, plenty of novices that Willie Mullins hasn't ran yet as well. Habrisco, State Man, plenty with big reputations going into the weekend, so it'd be nice if we can see a good few of those out and about. But let's crack on then. We're going to do it in race course order. So we're going to start with Kempton, and the first sort of big race at Kempton on the 26th is the Kauto Star, the Grade 1, and this looks a brilliant way to start the meeting. Brave Man's Game and Ahoy Senor both going at it. The clash that I didn't think we were going to get at this time of the season. I thought Ahoy Senor might go to Warwick for that Grade 2 novice chase. Instead, they've opted to go here. They're taking on Brave Man's Game. It's good for racing. Brave Man's Game, I think he's going to be too classy for him. I think Kempton will suit him down to a T. It's going to be probably good to soft ground. That's what the clerk of the course said anyway today, and I think that would suit Brave Man's Game. I think he'll have too much toe. Ahoy Senor, I think he's a very, very good horse. I think he suits a big galloping track, and I'm not sure Kempton is that. I know in the audio podcast that you said you loved Ahoy Senor, and you're firmly in his camp.
Yeah, I would be. Look, I think if these two were running against each other 3 miles at Cheltenham, I'd be backing Ahoy Senor every time. And as you say, the only thing maybe that's in your mind is that Kempton would feature a little bit more speed, and that's where Brave Man's Game probably has it on Ahoy Senor. I know I don't want to be obviously too lofty. I know some people have made a comparison or two before with Ahoy Senor. There's elements, and I do stress elements, of Coney Gree in him, who obviously won this race so impressively 5-6 years ago for the Bradstocks. This kind of just bullish, kind of takes fences with him, but still somehow manages to gallop horses into the ground sort of approach. And I think it would be good for racing if Ahoy Senor was a seriously good horse. You know, Lucinda Russell obviously had the Grand National winner a couple of years ago, won for Arthur, but Scottish yards, you know, Northern yards have struggled over the last number of years, and for them to potentially get a future Gold Cup horse with Ahoy Senor would be really good for the game. And obviously it's a good daring move from them to come down onto probably Paul Nicholls' home patch with Brave Man's Game. It's been something that he's had in the pipeline for I'd say a year and a half, ever since he won last year in the Shallow, that this was going to be the race for him. So it'll be a fascinating clash. I'm probably with Ahoy Senor. I just think he's a stronger stayer, but the two are very good prospects.
Nicholls has had this one day in mind, and if you're going to trust any trainer to get their horse 100% spot on, I just think this is the day. And Brave Man's Game, I think it'll be spectacular, and I think he'll win. Next, we've got the Grade 1 Christmas Hurdle, and this is a poor race. We don't probably need to touch on it for too long. Epatante is 4-5. I think she'll come on for the fighting fifth. I think she'll probably get the best of Not So Sleepy. Does Kempton suit her more than Newcastle? Probably. But if she was to be beaten, it wouldn't be a massive shock. It's certainly a no-bet race for me. She's 4-5. Will you have a nibble at that?
Oh no, not at all. Just a race to, as you say, to have a look at. And this isn't a Grade 1 race in anything bar name, really. To be honest, if you stuck a Grade 3 sign beside this race, you wouldn't feel it was out of place. A couple of handicappers making the step up. Interesting to see how the likes of Tritonic and Soaring Glory were to run, but no. As you say, like, Epatante should win, but at the same stage, if she wasn't to win, would you be overly surprised? No, because she's kind of let people down before. She let people down in this race last year. And also now Henderson's starting to go on about the Mayor's Hurdle, which I'd be very, very disappointed about if I was an Epatante fan, because that's hoisting the white flag, really, saying that we're actually no good at 2 miles anymore.
He said that regardless of what happens at Kempton, she's not going to beat Honeysuckle, so already a defeatist attitude. Looking at that champion hurdle, it's going to be poor, especially if Appreciate It doesn't turn up. The schedule that he's got to get back on track from the end of January to then maybe have a trial in the Red Mills looks extremely unlikely. Is he going to go to the champion hurdle without a prep run and take on Honeysuckle first time out? Not going to happen, really, is it? Very, very, very doubtful. But look, like you say, this is literally a Grade 1 in name. It wouldn't surprise me if we saw these 5 runners turn up at Contenders Hurdle at Sandown. That's a listed race. It's time for the big one then, and the King George is the feature of the Christmas period. I'm probably against the Nichols pair. I'm against Frodon, last year's winner, and Clanderzo, but I think they've both had their day. If I'm honest, I've looked at this race for a long time, and I still can't put my finger on one.
Very hard, because it's a combination between horses that maybe in the overall scheme of things, you know, aren't as good as others but might be primed for the day. Then there's horses that are like Furlange, that's an enigma, could win the race by 10 lengths, could also tip up. I would be of the impression Manila Indo won't win. And I'm willing to be proven wrong by the horse here. I just can't see 3 miles around Kempton suiting this horse whatsoever. I think the best 2 horses in the race long term are Manila Indo and Chantry House, and yet I don't really fancy either of them for this race. I think Chantry House could well be taken off his feet at Kempton as well. Then you're back to the Nichols pair. As you say, they're a little bit exposed. Probably Clandes Oboe's not going to be out of the 3, but he's 11-4, he's no each way price. And then you end up coming back to Furlange, who is the complete fly in the ointment, because you just know how good he is. Realistically, I will probably back him just because I will continue to back him until I get that big day in the sun with him, which will happen at some stage. But the King George promises to suit him, but at the same stage, it also promises to take him off his feet, and his jumping will come under pressure. So it's a minefield of a race. A small punt on Furlange for me.
Steering Furlange, what a turnaround it would be for him. He looked gone in the game this time last year, and for him to come back and win a King George would be a brilliant training performance, especially after falling. The following day we've got the Desert Orchid, and Shishkin looks likely to turn up. Interesting that Paul Nicholls is running Grenadine, one of those where Nicky's not going to have a freebie with Shishkin wherever he goes, and fair play to Paul for doing that. Shishkin's not definite and not certain to turn up. I know he's schooling this morning. Depending on how well that went, Nicky Henderson would decide if he'll run here. I think he probably will. It's not been the ideal preparation, but I just think his class might get him through this. What do you think? Yeah,
I'd say so. There's every chance of that. I would think they'll go down this route. I don't think they'll run in the Clarence House. I don't think under any circumstances. I think if he doesn't run in this, I don't think he'll run in the Clarence House either. I think they'd then wait for the Game Spirit and do what they did with Altior the first year he was out of Novice Company, where they had a hold up. They just went Game Spirit, Champion Chase. Look, I think Shishkin's the best of the lot of them. Grenadine's good horse. He's a good market, or flag bearer, should I say. And also the Venetia Williams horse, Funambule Civila, is actually, he's probably not up to this level, but he's an improving horse, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if he was to turn up in a Game Spirit where there was no Shishkin. He could take a bit of beating in that type of a race. He's an improving horse.
Shishkin won the Wayward Lad Novices Chase, the Grade 2 on the same card this time last year. That race it's taken a steep dive since then. Edwardstone's in there, Do Your Job, Raya Time, Sebastopol and Solo. Not vintage, to say the least. Edwardstone, if he turns up, just should get the job done.
He should win, and win very easy, I'd have thought. He'd have beaten Do Your Job at Warwick if not being brought down. A couple of starts back. And the rest of them, Ray at time couldn't win a beginners in Ireland in 7 or 8 starts for Henry de Bromhead. Solo is solo, and Sebastopol has second-itis, and he was about to win a race, poor lad, at Kempton, and then he fell at the last, which sums up his luck, unfortunately. But no, if Edwardstown was to run and not win, you'd be highly disappointed.
If he can't win that, he won't be winning an Arkle, that's for sure. We'll head over to Chepstow then for their 2 feature races. One's the Grade 1 finale, Juvenile Hurdle. I don't think any of these are top class. It definitely reflects how weak the British juveniles are this season. Is there one in there that interests you?
It probably depends on prices. Hard to know what prices we're going to get in this race and who is going to turn up. Look, if Ollie's horse Parliament Hill was to run and be a double figure price potentially, or an 8 to 1 or something, I might have a small play each way on him. I thought he looked really nice in Leicester. He wasn't a bad flat horse over in Ireland, and looked to take to jumping quite as well. Ollie has another one in there, T's and C's, who looks to be an absolute nutter, but Fergus Gregory's got a brilliant tune out of him twice in a row. The rest of them, though, it doesn't inspire the greatest bit of confidence. I don't think Porticello's going to run. I've seen a few words around that he's not going to run. He probably would have taken a bit of beating, but the rest of them are much of a muchness, I'd say. I
would probably go with Magistrato if he's above a 4 or 5 to 1. I think he's got Chepstow form. He was impressive in their first meeting, and he's clearly a good horse. And I'd say he probably wasn't at his best at Cheltenham last time out. I'll forgive him there. So Magistrato if he runs. The Welsh National is again another minefield. I actually just think Secret Reprieve will win this again if he's in the same form. He's still a young horse.
Yeah, he's got a massive chance. Look, I like the Irish Raider in this, the big dog. I think the Welsh National as a prospect 3-5 on usually pretty soft ground just looks like it could really suit this horse. He won the Grand National trial at Punchestown over 3-4 last year. Didn't end up running in any of the big staying handicap chases because the ground went against him. He's a proper mudlark. Had a nice little pipe opener over hurdles a couple of weeks ago, and I saw Johnny Burke, who rode a couple of winners today at Ludlow, speak. He's got the ride on him. He seemed to be buzzing about it, which I can see why. Obviously a great ride for him to pick up. He's around 7-8 to 1. I think he's got a very good each way chance.
Limerick then hosts the Grade 1 Faugheen Novices Chase over 2 miles and 3 furlongs, and not a superstar in the field, but plenty of good horses. Is there one that you like in here?
Yeah, a lot of the Drinmore form going to be put to the test here. A race I didn't overly like at the time, but there's not much to take it on with. Farouk Delaine, I know a lot of people have kind of climbed in on him. He's now 3 to 1. I think he's been completely overbet. I think 3 to 1's a rubbish price. He was probably a price at 7 to 1. But he's only won a beginner's chase. I would maybe take a chance on Lifetime Ambition to run a bit better. He's 8 to 1. It's not a bad each way price. Jesse's horses haven't been in great nick over the last month and a half, but I think he's better than what he did in the Drinmore. You look back to that Down Royal run, if he was to repeat that, he'd be bang there. At 8 to 1, it's worth a chance each way.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe the ground was slightly too quick for him in the Drinmore. It's going to be soft. It's going to be very testing, and I think that will suit him down to a T. And I think they'll make more use of him as well. I've got Lifetime Ambition down at 8 to 1 as well. I think that he will win the Faugheen Novices Chase. Let's go over to Leopardstown then, and it's seriously good action. We can go through every single race on all 4 cards. We've restricted ourselves to just the top Grade 1 and 1 Grade 2. Taken some serious discipline to do that. But we'll start with the Grade 2 Juvenile, and again, we don't have to talk about this race for much longer. Phil Dorr runs, and he probably wins.
Yep, I think he does. I'd say Lunar Power will probably chase him home again. Just a horse for everyone to keep in the notebook. This horse, Ben Siegel. He's got a very, very similar profile at this stage to Jeff Kidder. Wouldn't surprise me at all to see this horse run a nice race and come 4th or 5th. And we might see him in a Boodles come Cheltenham. Just one to keep the right side of.
The Arkle division took a hit this week with Appreciate It out. He'll remain hurdling after a setback. We expected him to run in the 2 miles and 1 furlong beginners chase on the 27th. He wasn't even entered in the race. Clearly something up with him. Instead, now Fernie Hollow leads the Arkle market, and he's favourite for the Grade 1 2 mile Racing Post Novices Chase. He's going to have to beat Riviere de Tel, who's been very impressive so far for Gordon Elliott. I think he will. I think she's been taking advantage of the weight allowances at this time of the season. She's been putting up very good times. I think she's got a ceiling with a Fernie Hollow at the moment. You don't know how good he can be, and I will probably back him at 10 to 11 actually. What do you think of this race, and do you think Riviere to Tell could put it up to Fernie Hollow?
Look, she seems to improve for fences, but at the end of the day you're taking a champion bumper winner against a horse that couldn't win the Red Winter last year. And I think even though Fernie Hollow has to give plenty of weight, he probably does win. Not a price that I'd be... I think there's stronger 10 to 11 chances out there throughout the week. I think the bet in this race, and I'm looking to find a bookie on the day potentially that might be betting without the two favourites, they're on track or maybe online, about Gallant John Joe. If you just look back at some of his best 2 mile chase form around Leopardstown, I know he's been out for a while, but his best form would entitle him to maybe come third or fourth in this race. And after the front two, the race is pretty average. So Gallant John Joe, he's currently 100 to 1 if you want to just take it on the fly for 2 places, but I'm going to wait until I either get a 3-place market or betting without the top 2, and hopefully we get a good juicy double figure price.
100 to 1. What are you going to spend the winnings on if he won?
I'll probably put it all on some Paul Nolan horse on the 27th or something and lose
it all. That is not a good advertisement for safer gambling. Do not listen to Andrew. At the 2 mile Grade 1 chase, Enegamine is 49 to win. Chacun Pour Soi, is he going to turn up? It's unlikely. Envoi Allen, again, is he going to be able to put it up to Enegamine, who's been mightily impressive? At this time last year, Andrew, I actually looked back and watched our videos, and neither of us were a fan of Enegamine. Do you think that you've turned?
I have turned in terms of I think he's a superstar. There's no getting away from that. Hard to know. I think people just like to put 2 and 2 together. About obviously he didn't get to Cheltenham last year, so therefore he must be better than Shishkin. I don't subscribe to that really. I think we just have to see what happens come a champion chase. I think he'll win this race. I don't think Shakan will run. And even though my heart tells me otherwise, even if the 2 of them were to run, I think Enegamine would beat Shakan at this stage. You'd have to see Shakan back after what he did in the Tingle Creek. And I think they're better, obviously, than the rest of them. Envoi Allen, I don't think would be... I think he'll be taken off his feet. He could be beaten after a couple of fences.
So I hope he's very impressive. I hope that he stamps his authority on the field and we've got a real champion chase contender. And it'd be nice to see Shishkin also put in a similar performance, and we can have that clash that we really wanted to see in the Arkle last year at Cheltenham in the champion chase. It'd be brilliant. The 2 mile future champions novice hurdlers, the feature 2 mile novice hurdle of the meeting. And it's interesting to know who's going to turn up. I think there's 14 entries and Willie's got 11. Kilcrut leads the market, but he was beaten by Largy Davy, who's also in here. 3-stripe lice in there. I think that he might probably run.
Yeah, I think he'll run. I think Mighty Potter will run as well. I think Gordon's 2 will run. I think Henry's 1 will run. And I've no idea. We could play a game of bingo with how many Mullins is going to run in the race. Will he run 3, maybe? The
likes of Habrisco and Stateman have got big reputations. I think they'd probably steer clear of this and go for a 2 mile maiden hurdle, whether the ones maybe with not so much of a reputation have more chance of turning up here and being the 2nd and 3rd string to Kilcrut, who I think will turn up. I know Willie Mullins did a piece of Racing TV and he said that Kilcrut, undecided whether he'll go to the maiden hurdle or here. I think he'll probably go here. Can you forgive him for his last run, or is this going to be a watching brief?
A watching brief for me with Kilcrut. I wouldn't be steaming in at those types of prices. I think also Mighty Potter will be over bet in this race. He is the definition of a wise guy's horse after what he did in the Royal Bond. Look, the Royal Bond I thought was a pretty average race, and he was taken off his feet turning in, which... Look, I know he's better than that, but I wouldn't be overly keen on him. I'd be more keen on 3-Stripe Life. I have been going into the Royal Bond. I'd still be here. One worry is that Leopardstown's usually quick enough ground, and he was obviously taken out at Fairyhouse for quick ground. If he wasn't to run, I'd probably back Largy Debut. I thought the way he did it at Cork didn't look like any fluke to me. There was good vibes coming out of the yard that he was pretty decent, and you know, you got to put it up to him. I think Grangie will run for Mullins. I don't think she'll be up to it at this level in open company, but she's a very solid mare, and she might do something like L.A. Bell did and run a nice race for mare's novice credentials down the line. Yeah,
Willie did something similar with Hookup last year in one of the grade ones. Maybe they could do something with Grangie there, but we know that she's got plenty of talent and she's definitely a contender in that mare's novices hurdle. We'll move on then to the grade 1 3 mile hurdle, and we're not 100% sure who will turn up here, but I'd imagine Flooring Porter will be difficult to beat if he's in the same form as he was last year.
Yeah, I've gone a full circle on this race. I've tried to take on Flooring Porter an awful lot, and in this race I just can't do it. I just think he'll win. I think he'll come on for Navan. I thought there was every chance he'd still have been well involved in the finish when coming down. I know he's got his own notions about the game, but he could be better than these. Classical Dream, are we ever going to see him? Like, I know they said yes, he will run, but they've said that a couple of times. He still doesn't turn up. One that I'm very interested in, probably more long term, is Gentleman's Game. I know I put him up for the Festival Novices Chase. He's staying hurdling. He's a really talented horse, so I'd love to see him run a nice race. First time out this season. I doubt he'll go and win, but if he was to run nice and be in the first 3 or 4, I'd be delighted.
The Grade 1 3-mile feature chase in Ireland is the Savills, won by Applutard last year. He goes back to hopefully replicate that victory, and it's going to take a very, very good horse to beat him. I looked at the market and I thought Galvin will finish second or third. I couldn't be backing Delta Work, but the one I do fancy at a price, just to maybe finish second, is Melon. Always runs very well, ran extremely well in the race last year. Maybe if given a slightly more patient ride, he would have got home. Him and Kemboy just stopped. And I thought his run in the John Durkan was also very encouraging. So Melon at 16-1 for me here, but I do expect Applutard to win. Do you think he'll win? Do you think he'll be impressive?
Yeah, I think he'll win. I don't think he'll be quite as impressive as Haydock. I don't think there's almost any chance of a horse winning 2 back-to-back Grade 1s by near on 20 lengths on the bridle. I think the only thing is that Haydock run, it's just going to be hard to know. Sometimes when horses finish on the bridle, people assume that they haven't had a hard race. And, any 3-mile Grade 1 is going to take a fair bit out of a horse, and he's going to have to come back and repeat that. He's just not a horse I'd be backing it at 4 to 5. You'd let him win at that type of price. I'd back 2 at each way prices in this, not in dissimilar form. I'm against you. I think I'd almost have a match bet of a couple of points with you that Delta Work finishes ahead of Galvin at Leopardstown over 3 miles. Delta Work loves course and distance. He runs very well around this track. He is, he is what he is. He's limited to a certain extent at top Grade 1 level, but I think Galvin is as well, and you get twice the price. He's 10-1, Galvin's 5-1. And the other one, also an eye catcher from the John Durkan. I know there's probably plenty of eye catchers from the John Durkan, but if Tornado Flyer was to run in this at 33-1, it's a massive price. I know he's also entered in the King George at that declaration stage, so he might go over there, but he was flying home for 50. He was taken off his feet early. Another type of horse. He's a little bit like Melon in terms of he never really seems to win these races, but often you finish a race and you go, oh geez, Tornado Flyer came third again. Like even in the Ryanair last year, I don't think he was sighted in the race and he still came third. So it's that type of horse. At 33-1, it's a big price. He probably should be 20-1, I'd say.
The Grade 1 2-mile hurdle will be won by,
I'd say Sharjah. I think it's actually not the worst price in the world. Hard to know what's going to run against them. I would like to see them, take him on with Tiupo in this and see how good he is. But I'd be concerned that he'll also go down to Limerick on the 29th and they'll just leave Zana here to run against Sharjah. And at 2 miles, relatively decent ground around Leopardstown, I just can't see Zana here turning that form around. He'll need a more staying track and probably softer ground than he's going to get to have any chance. So I'd say Sharjah wins. I know it's boring, but
I've noted a few horses to watch outside of those big Grade 1s with a view to Cheltenham. I've only got 4 noted down, but you could go through 6 or 7 horses in all of these maiden hurdles and beginners chases. The 4 that I've got down: Vauban, Triumph Hurdle candidate. He's entered up in plenty of places. Champion Green is also entered up in one of the juveniles that he's in there for. I think Champion Green could finish second to Vauban. I think Vauban could be above average, and hopefully Champion Green can go down that Bluedles route. Sir Gerhard looks like he's going to make his hurdling debut over 2 miles on the 26th. The Supreme and Ballymore will be options for him. He's obviously the champion bumper winner. It'll be interesting to see what he does. And then Galopin de Champs will make his chasing debut over 2 miles and 5 furlongs in the beginner's chase won by the Big Getaway last year. Obviously, he's my pick at this stage for the Festival Novices Chase. I hope he wins. I hope he jumps very well. And then he could probably go on to the Dublin Racing Festival, the race that Monkfish won last year. And then another one, maybe slightly out there, that you may not have heard of, who's a Mares Novice Hurdle candidate, I think they think a lot of her. Heia, Heia, I'm not sure how you pronounce it, but she's got a lofty reputation. I think they think a lot of her, and she could be one that fills that frame for the Mares Novice Hurdle. Let's then move on to our best bets of the Christmas period. I've got 4, and with all of this glorious racing up and down the country, I've gone to Wincanton on Boxing Day in the 12:18 Mares Novice Hurdle, and I think Finest View for Alan King will make a successful hurdling debut. There's no price about her yet, but I think she's a cut above there, and I think she could be a decent price. On the 27th, I've got 3. 2 come from Kempton. One is at 155, and it's Dragon Bones, the mare that finished second to my sister Sarah at Kempton last time in a listed race. She's 7-2 to win. I think she will win. Also on that card in the 310, Man of the Mountain runs, and I think at 8-1 I'm going to make him my nap of the Christmas period. I think he stays 3 miles. He's run well at Kempton before. It was a good 8th in the Paddy Power. That race has worked out very well with the likes of Midnight Shadow backing that run up. You've got Protectorate as well. Zanzas ran well in the race, and I don't think it's the strongest race in the world. So Man of the Mountain at 8-1. If he runs at Kempton on the 27th, I think he wins, and I think 8-1 is a very good price. Then also on the 27th, I'm going to go to Wetherby for my final best bet of the Christmas period at 1 o'clock. Again, no prices, but I think Midnight River can put his chasing debut behind him. I think he'll get off the mark. The Skeltons love him. They think he's a forgotten horse, and Midnight River off 135, I believe, will be winning that novice handicap chase. I'm hoping so anyway. So there's my 4. Finest View, Dragon Bones, Man of the Mountain, and Midnight River. You're laughing, but it doesn't make any difference whether the 8-1 winner is in the King George or the 310 Wolverhampton.
Yeah, well, if you put something up at Wolverhampton, I would have actually signed you off the show, I'm afraid.
I'd have accepted that one, but I think they're 4 hopeful winners that pay for the Christmas presents anyway. Take it away, Andrew. We want to hear your 5.
Yeah, I've got 5 over the 4-day period. Obviously, there's plenty of great racing to get stuck into. Starting off with the 26th. 2 of my stronger ones really. The 145 at Leopardstown, a novice handicap hurdle, a horse called Harvey's Key for Eddie O'Grady and JP McManus. He won at Clonmel by 7 lengths last time out. He's been hacked up £13 for that, but he's off 115. I think he's a 130 horse, to be honest. I think they were probably running him a few quiet times before getting him into handicaps. I think he'll take a heap of beating. Up at Wetherby myself on the 26th in the 245. I like Hillcrest, horse for Trevor Hemmings, for Henry Daly. He's won twice. He's won over course and distance, over hurdles. He looks a really nice type of horse. He's off 128. I think that mark isn't, I think he's better than that mark in the future. I think he'll be probably a 150 chaser in time. He looks a really nice sort. Moving on to the 27th, the Paddy Power, a horse that there's going to be a lot of money for. I can see why Gavin Lynch has already given him a nod, but I think Alpha Mix in the Paddy Power at 8-1. He's a really nice type of horse. He's been laid out for this type of race in mind. And 3 nondescript runs in beginners chases last year. Much better on handicap debut last time out. Should go very close. The 220 handicap hurdle, horse called Sea Ducker, was second in the race last year for Arthur Moore to Master McShee. Master McShee proved to be a bit of a blot in that race. Arthur Moore very good and a dab hand at getting horses ready for the day. I think at the 220, I think he's right up there. And then my nap, the 29th of December, the Neville Hotels, Novice Chase, 3 miles, Grade 1. You know where I'm going with it. It is 3 words: Run Wild Fred. 5-1. He's my nap of the week. I just think it's a rubbish Grade 1, to be honest. Beacon Edge is the favourite. I would take on Beacon Edge all day long with Run Wild Fred over 3 miles. And I think he'll take a heap of beating. I know it's a cliff I've been down before, but I think this time I got a bit of vengeance in the Troy town. I'm hoping for more now.
Run Wild Fred, the same horse that couldn't get his head in front in an average race last year, is now going to be a Grade 1 winner.
It's a couple of your favourites are entered in this. 300 through 5 is entered in it and everything. So who would you have between those two? You don't seem to like either of them.
Who would I have to finish under 5 minutes in a 5 furlong race? I'm not sure. Run Wild Fred. I definitely prefer him to 335, but again, 2 big boats. It'll be basically like being in Southampton Marina, watching the big cruise ships come in, just slow as anything. Fascinating. Christmas period is going to be a brilliant episode to review all of this action. It's brilliant that all these big race courses are on racing TV, so we can show you that footage. Kempton, Leopardstown, Limerick, not Chepstow, but then again Chepstow. But if you do enjoy this video, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and if you want to win the incredible, amazing Christmas racing bundle, do get down in the comments Let's Talk Racing Christmas, and you'll be entered in that, and I'll pick a winner in the next video.